Hello everyone, it's Karmakut and I'm bringing you the A9 feature preview video for Squad. There's a lot of really cool updates that Join Squad is putting out in the near future. But yeah, we're just going to get a look at what they released on their page, and it's got a couple goodies. A lot of it has to do with vehicles, and yeah, we'll jump straight into it. So, as you can see, there are new vehicles coming to Squad, and it's going to be pretty freaking exciting. Simply because we've been playing with the same vehicles for like, what, 2-3 months now? And so these new vehicles, as well as a couple new changes, should be pretty big in changing the meta and making Squad feel, even more polished than it is currently. So one of the most unique vehicles that they're releasing, or will be releasing with V9, is the motorcycle. This small vehicle for INS is going to allow them to get more maneuverability and rapidly deploy to other parts of the map. So it'll be interesting to see if motorcycles really change how INS plays and gives them, that kind of fluid gameplay that they can use to outmaneuver the more conventional forces. Let's see what else we got. A lot of fire support vehicles coming out with this patch. You got the BRDM. It's got, a 14.5 millimeter machine gun on it. So that's going to be cool. It's excuse me. It's also going to be, one of those faster vehicles. So it's going to be able to put out, a good amount of firepower while still being armored and maneuverable. But yeah, I think this vehicle also comes with a gunner, a driver, and a commander, if I'm not mistaken. So you will get a periscope and you will be able to kind of command a vehicle, whereas the previous vehicles in Squad, there is no commander seat, there's just driver gunner. I think the BRDM Scout Car is the first vehicle to have a periscope commander seat. So it'll be interesting to see how that really works. Striker Gang release for the Americans. It's going to be cool to see another APC implemented in the Squad, because right now the only vehicles that the US have are the Humvees, which aren't really APCs. They're just, rapid maneuverable vehicles. Sometimes the Crows can be used as fire support, but they don't really stand toe-to-toe against the BTR. So it's nice to see the US getting a more heavier asset, and it can hold up to 11 people. So it's pretty much a counter to the BTR. It's going to be the US counter. Now Militia is getting two very cool vehicles. They're going to get the MTLB with the NSV, and they're going to get one with the 30 millimeter cannon. So a lot of firepower coming to Militia, because Militia only had technicals from before this patch, so they're getting two variants of the MTLBs. So it's going to be interesting to see how those change how Militia play, because I think currently Militia is the weakest of all the factions. So we'll see how this buff helps Militia. And as you can see, the APC version for Militia carries 19 players, just like the INS and the Russian version. So that's another large transport vehicle, because Militia didn't have an APC before. They only had the trans truck and the technicals. So INS getting their hands on armor as well. They get a PKT version of the APC. So once again, same thing like Militia, they're getting a small buff, but I think the Militia is going to get a lot of maneuverability out of these as his next patch, especially with the motorcycles. But I could be wrong. But I think the motorcycles are going to be interesting to see. People zipping around and getting to places before the other team. But yeah, these 30 millimeter cannon ones, I am very excited for. Very, very, very excited for. And then of course Russia also gets another BTR, but with the 30 millimeter cannon. So Russia getting another heavy asset. So Russia, once again, I think comes out with the heavier vehicles, but the other factions are getting some other light armored vehicles to counter. So it's getting a little more balanced, because before, BTRs were king, but now the other factions do have armor of some sort to counter the BTR. But yeah, pretty cool stuff. Pictures, they have a motorbike video that kind of showcases it. It looks really cool. Like, we'll play a little bit of this. But yeah, very exciting to see. They have showcases of all the vehicles. But yeah, I can't wait for more assets. Like, they're adding more and more assets, and I think it's wonderful. The only thing I want, as you all know, is I want more indirect fire. I want mortars, and I want more artillery. So hopefully those two things get added somewhat soon. I'm also looking forward towards the animation update, which is they showcased it last recap, but it looks really clean. It makes this game look really, really polished. But yeah, a lot of new vehicles coming to all the factions. So we'll see how that changes up the meta. And showcasing in them all. FOB changes. Okay. I really love this change. It slows down the game. So before this patch, FOBs were used to spawn on, like immediately as soon as you could reinforce them with a Logi truck or wait 5 minutes, or so I think it's 7 minutes, 5 or 7 minutes, you could spawn on them. But now you have to spawn, or you have to build a HAB unit before you can spawn. And I think that's amazing because it kind of gets rid of this cheesy, like, drop the FOB and then everyone spawns. You kind of need to, like, create that spawn point. So FOBs are going to need logistical runs. They're going to need protection. They're going to be fewer spawning points, which means that the goal of taking out a FOB is going to be a lot more important. So, I think FOBs will really become that alternate objective that squad wants them to be, rather than something you can kind of ignore. These HAB units are going to make FOBs more important and more of a target. So it'll be interesting to see how this changes FOB play, but I think I welcome this change because it's going to slow down the game. It's going to make FOBs more relevant. But yeah, you can see the different HABs units. So they kind of give your spawn a little cover rather than, just the radio and then spawning and then like you get shot at from somewhere because, it's a radio and there's no cover around the radio in previous patches. Whereas now when you put down HABs unit, you have some cover when you spawn so you don't die to annoying, campers or snipers out like 200 meters. You actually have a chance when you spawn in now. But yeah, I can't wait to see that. They're rolling out the new scoreboard and this looks sexy. You can see a couple of the ops guys, but the new scoreboard looks really clean. I enjoy this a lot. I mean, they're really polishing up squad to be like a real, like, to compete with AAA games, because this is just clean and they're making great improvements. But yeah, I can't wait to see this because we all know that the scoreboard needed an overhaul. I mean, it was pretty basic and pretty simple before, and this just looks a lot more clean and a lot more up to date and a lot more, this gen kind of UI. Goro is getting a 4K expansion. So before, as you can see, the original size in this box and then the expansion. So, I mean, it's pretty much doubling in size, I'd say. I think it's fair to say it's doubling in size. So at Squad Ops, we love those larger maps because they give us a lot more room to work with. Building ops all over the map, using different parts of the map. So larger maps, definitely thumbs up. I love seeing the larger maps, and so this is going to be a huge map. I mean, I think it's about the size of Kohat now. It's pretty big, and I can't wait to see how Goro is going to play, because Goro, I think, is one of my favorite maps, if not the favorite. I just love Goro. I love Kohat. YeHo still needs a little bit of updating, which they are doing. But we'll talk about that when we get down there. But yeah, this Goro update, I enjoy it. We'll see how it plays. We'll see how these flag layouts, feel. But just general increasing map size, I'm all for it. But yeah, multiple different layers on the new Goro. They are also introducing Conquest into more layers now. They introduced Conquest onto Logar last batch. Now they're introducing Conquest onto Goro. So we'll see how that plays. I'm excited to see how that plays. YeHo. Okay, so YeHo's getting an overhaul. They're updating, adding more assets, whether that be buildings and just fleshing out the map more and more. Before, YeHo was pretty barren and you could tell it was a work in progress, but from this update you can really see how they're like putting in that detail, adding those railings, adding the signs, just adding those small things that make the world feel like a real world. And so I think it's going to be pretty cool, especially because of the size and how empty it was before. Like, YeHo went through like 2 iterations. Like, they initially released YeHo and it was pretty barren. It was pretty bland, if I might say. So they did that, and then they updated it once, and they added like 3 different towns and like fully built towns. And so I'm excited to see how much they added in this release, and just how more fleshed out YeHo feels. But yeah, they go over a couple more YeHo layers. pretty exciting stuff. And then they're adding Conquest to YeHo. So it's cool that they're starting to, you can see them starting to push Conquest more, and adding another game type is pretty well needed, because right now the only one that really gets played is AAS. I think Insurgency is kind of bugged, but it's good to see that they're adding Conquest, because, you know, more game modes, more options for players to play. So that's always good, giving more options to the players. They added hat for Insurgents and Militia. This is probably to counter the heavier assets that are coming out, obviously. So with those heavier assets, Insurgents and Militia do need the tools to deal with those heavier assets. So they are getting hat, which is does a lot of damage against these heavy vehicles. But yeah. Let's see, anything else? They disabled the open and close hatch functionality on the BTR. There was no real reason for this. I mean, you couldn't shoot the driver out when he turned out, and, you know, it was just an aesthetic change for the driver. So I think they're going to change something here. You can now double tap the walk key to stay locked, so you don't have to like hold it. You can just double tap and then you'll walk around. So I never really used walk too much, but this is a nice feature for those that use it. You don't have to hold it the entire time now. They're adding, this is an interesting change. They're adding weapon penetration for 5.56, 5.45, and 7.62 rifles. So instead of just having the 50 cals have bullet pen, you have bullet pen on these lower caliber rifles. And it's going to be exciting to see how much that changes gameplay, because, you know, that was a very, I guess, frustrating thing before bullet pen was implemented. It was like you couldn't shoot through a box or whatnot. But with bullet pen, you're going to be able to shoot through a lot of more things, and some cover is going to become irrelevant. And so, you know, this might be one of the bigger changes in this patch, this hidden change right here. So this is, I think, going to change a lot of stuff. 30 millimeter. Getting added with the MTLBs, so of course they're adding bullet pen to the 30 millimeter naturally. First damage type to be able to penetrate the Afghan tightly packed mud walls. So this is going to be great, because, you know, we always talk about how there's no destructible buildings or anything like that, but with the advanced bullet pen, you're going to have the tools to deal with enemies garrisoned within buildings, and I think that's very important, because if you put infantry in indestructible buildings, they can take out armor extremely easily, because they're in an impenetrable building, right? They have cover that can't be destroyed. But with these AP rounds and with these bullet pen changes being added, you now actually have tools to get rid of garrisons inside of buildings, and I think that's extremely important. So a lot of amazing game balance changes coming out here. Small change to deployable SPGs. This isn't really too big. I don't really see people spamming it too much. Repair stations, yeah, I do believe they needed to limit this, because, you know, you could build like 5 repair stations, park a BTR there, and then it would heal the BTR really fast, and you could almost, you know, have an unkillable BTR. All 5-ton transport trucks now hold up to 18 players instead of 13. I think this is a good change, because, you know, why not? Like, if you can fit more in, you might as well fit more in. Otherwise, you get people like trying to jump in, and it gets really weird. So an additional 5 players, now you can hold 2 squads. Instead of this weird, like, 13, you can only put, like, a squad and half a squad in. You can now fit 2 full squads inside of a vehicle, instead of having to, you know, logistically figure out how the hell you're going to get 2 squads across with a 13-man transport. So this is a quality of life change in my eyes. They smoothed out the overheating penalty. So the penalty is shorter, but you overheat more quickly. That's fine. I mean, like, so long as you manage your intervals and you're talking the guns properly, or you're watching your weapon heat, I mean, this shouldn't be too much of a big change. It's just, you know, a change. It's not really a buff or a nerf. It's just a change. Squad leaders are now able to set possible friendly FOB locations through the squad leader. So yeah, so now when you're marking the map, you get a mark for friendly FOB instead of enemy FOB, just enemy FOB, so you can, you know, work out where you want to drop the friendly FOB. So that's a good change. I think that's a good. More consistent with that. I don't know what this does. I think this is just a radio menu change, the order, I think. Yeah, so, and then due to the success of OP First Light Conquest, they're adding more Conquest maps, which we talked about earlier, to Goro and YeHo. And then, they're just adding all those vehicles. They fixed the vehicle handling, which is very important, because the vehicle handling right now is like wonky. Like you could easily flip or get a vehicle stuck. We'll see how, the ability to climb obstacles has been improved. So, it just gets stuck on a wall and get perfectly balanced and the wheels are like off the ground. So hopefully, this will stop a lot of the stupid vehicle stuck and loss. Let's see, anything else? Anything important here? No, not really. So a couple UI changes, just quality of life stuff. You can now directly talk to squad leaders, so you don't clutter the entire command channel if you just have to talk to one person. You can use the number pad on your keyboard and have direct comms with that one squad leader. So this is a nice change. I don't have a keypad though, so I'm gonna have to figure out how I want to map this. But I think this will be a good tool. I mean, it's not essential. This isn't really a big change in my eyes. I know some people think this is a huge change because you can now, you don't have to talk on the comms. But I enjoy listening to everyone on the comms because then I have a good idea of what everyone's doing. Even if it doesn't pertain to me, I at least know like what that squad leader is doing and what I can prepare for what they're doing and react if their plan doesn't go as it's supposed to. So I don't know how I feel about this change because I personally love having all the command on one comms, but I don't know. Maybe I'll grow to like this change. New icons. They're just pretty. Anything else? I don't think so. But yeah, that's pretty much it. A lot of information in this A9 patch. Pretty much just going over vehicles, map changes, a couple important balance changes regarding FOBs and bullet pen. And yeah, that's pretty much all that's in this A9 patch. If you had to ask when they were going to drop this, like, I'm usually pretty good at predicting this, but I don't know. If they're releasing this March 4th, I would say within the next month. Maybe 3 to 4 weeks. No, 2 to 4 weeks, I'd say. 2 to 4 weeks. If you'd ask when A9 was going to drop, I'd say 2 to 4 weeks. If they're showcasing it now, I'd say 2 to 4 weeks. But we'll see. I could be wrong. That's just my guess, of course. That's just what I get. That's my feel for it. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I know it's been a while since I uploaded, consistently. I've been sick. I got bronchitis for like 4 weeks. It was terrible. I couldn't breathe, couldn't talk, lost my voice. But everything's back to normal now. We'll start the normal daily uploads. And yeah, get back to the grind. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoyed my thoughts on the patch preview. And can't wait for A9. And we'll get my first impression video of the actual gameplay of A9 once that releases. So thanks so much for watching, guys. We're back to one video a day, and I'll see you guys next time.